Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our Twitter 101, a series to help you understand Twitter. This time we're going to be talking about retweets and mentions. Again, hi, my name is Professor Nick Carbonaro here at Long Beach City College in Long Beach, California. You could find me on Twitter, since we're doing a discussion on Twitter, at NJ Carbonaro. Or you could find me on YouTube if you've stumbled upon this video by accident, on youtube.com/Professor Nick Carbonaro, or go to my website, nickcarbonaro.com. It's going to have all my information, all my contact information, all my links that I have set up, anything that's beneficial to you. So let's get right into it. Twitter 101, a series to help you understand Twitter. We are in part 2. Where's that camera? Part 2 of Twitter 101. And today we're going to be talking about the retweet and the hashtag. So let's just dive right into it. Last video, and I'm going to link it up right on this channel, and it should be a recommended video at the end for you. What does a tweet look like? We talked about all these things in depth. We talked about an author, we talked about information and further action, we talked about text and what went into the text, and at the very bottom we talked about 3 actions that you can do. The first one is a reply, where it's a comment on the tweet, but the second one right there, the retweet, right? What is a retweet? So I want to talk to you about what is a retweet, and then also what does it mean when somebody says, oh, I mentioned you in a tweet, right? Because when you retweet something, you may mention somebody in that tweet. So let's break it down. So retweets. To tweet, back last video, was to post a tweet, right? To tweet was to write information 140 characters long. Retweeting is the sharing of somebody else's tweet. This is sharing somebody else's tweet. Retweet is often shortened as RT, and I mentioned that in the last video, and I told you I'd talk about it more in depth, and here we go. So we're retweeting. This is sharing somebody else's tweet. You see somebody else post something, you like what they see, you want to add your own little comment into it, you can actually quote that tweet and then talk about it. We'll give you an example later on in this little video. Why is retweeting interesting? Twitter can be used to curate information for an audience. You retweet the content which is relevant to people following you. So, little tip, if you are talking about a certain subject, if your Twitter is a professional Twitter handle, and you talk about a business, you talk about education, you talk about technology, you talk about finance, whatever it is, the stuff that you want to retweet may be beneficial to other people that think like-minded like you. So, for example, if you are an athlete, you may be talking about certain tips and tricks to help your body excel, certain gym workouts, certain stretches, certain skill sets that need to be involved. However, if you are that same athlete, and let's say you're a famous celebrity athlete, maybe you're not going to be retweeting about maybe political stuff because you don't want to alienate your fan base, or financial information because maybe your followers don't follow that type of stuff. So retweeting is interesting because you can actually share content that may be beneficial to other followers, and if it's beneficial to somebody else, then they will retweet that as well, and so then your viewership will go up, and your profile will actually become much better. So that's one of the things that why retweeting is interesting. And then in part 5 of the series, we're going to talk about uses for Twitter. So we'll professional and personally later on. So we'll get more into that. But let's break it down. A retweet is just sharing something. So this is a little funny one. Again, I'm using that same example from my first video with Ed Lattimore. The tweet here, the original tweet, was by Humble at BigPlay36. That second one right here, and I'll scroll with it with my thing right here, is who, in very poorly written grammar, who know how to unlock iPhones, right? Basically, somebody's asking who knows how to unlock iPhones. Well, Self-Made, or the Twitter handle Count Cash for Cam, said, the owner, give it back, right? Again, somebody asked how to unlock an iPhone. Very witty, very common. I mean, that's only five words, 6 characters long. The owner, give it back. And look at the amount of retweets it got. That saying right there, the owner, give it back. This whole tweet right here, not this original one, but this one right here. That one got 22,000 retweets. 22,000 people thought it was funny enough. 22,000 people thought it was humorous enough to retweet that, right? But here we go with another thing. This kind of goes into what it is. So above Count Cash 4Cam did a quoted retweet. When you quote a retweet, you put the retweet in there and then you comment on that retweet, right? A straight retweet would have just been this action, which you see. It says Ed Lattimore retweeted this whole exchange. Did he put his comment in there? No. So what did he do? He actually retweeted a quoted retweet. What? That's like Inception status right there, right? So what it means is that Humble tweeted something, Self-Made quoted that tweet, which means he retweeted it. He quoted a retweet. He did a quoted retweet where he included the original message and then made his own message on top of it. Ed Lattimore thought that entire exchange, not just the original who knows how to unlock iPhones, and he didn't think that was that interesting, but the comment that Self-Made made it interesting, right? Made him want to retweet it. So Ed Lattimore just retweeted that entire exchange. He didn't give his comment on it. He didn't give his spin on it. It's good the way it is, so he retweeted it. So Ed Lattimore retweeted a quoted retweet, right? Gets a little in depth, but you can see why you would want to retweet stuff if you were a person that has a certain type of following, a certain type of skill set. So for example, I'm a teacher. If you follow me at NJ Carbonaro, all my tweets are business related because I teach intro to business, I teach social media, I teach personal finance. So you'll see a wide variety of business range topics on there, right? Only throw in politics when it's relevant to the information. Don't want to alienate students, don't want to obviously alienate the faculty, but you want to be relevant with your retweets and your tweets. So mentions and hashtags. This is the second part of the video. Now, I told you we're going to talk about hashtags as a separate series in itself because hashtags are so in-depth. I'm going to make another series called Hashtag 101, right? It's kind of a 101 series. Twitter 101, Hashtag 101, Snapchat 101. So mentions and hashtags. So I tweeted this out, right? It was by Sergio Garcia back in April when he won the Masters, and I said he finally did it. Well done. At the Sergio Garcia, hashtag Sergio Garcia, and we're going to talk about what this is, right? What this means. So the first one is mentions. Mentions start with the @ sign, just like add an email at lbcc.edu. This is exactly the same thing. So they are simply the accounts of Twitter users called Twitter handles. So when you want to make sure that somebody knows about that picture that they're in, you could tag them in that picture, right? And this is what tagging is a different thing, but you can mention them in this Twitter thing. So for example, I said in the last video, a colleague of mine sent me a tweet informing me that a company was hiring entry-level social media people. It would be of interest to me because I teach social media. So all my students are now proficient in social media. So the way that I found that tweet out, I would have never found it on my own. I wasn't following the person, I wasn't searching that out, but a colleague of mine was, and he mentioned me in the tweet. So all it meant was he put at NJ Carbonaro rather than I put at Sergio Garcia because I want him to see the tweet. But he put at NJ Carbonaro. I was notified, hey, my name's in a tweet. I looked at the tweet. Great. I sent an email out to my students. Some of them applied for it. And so there's simply the accounts of people out there. It signals to the person mentioned that she was mentioned in a tweet, right? You want to mention somebody in a tweet. If you want to get their attention, it's kind of like you could talk all you want to somebody, but unless you say their name, like, hey, Nick, come here, then I would know you're talking to me. But if you're in a crowded room and you just say, hey, maybe everybody turns around, maybe nobody turns around, right? That mention actually gets people to turn around, gets people to notice you. Again, engagement, wanting people to interact with your Twitter handle. And lastly, hashtags. Hashtags start with a pound sign, right? So if you're a little bit older generation, you're going to say, oh, what's the pound sign? All it means is that they play a role in making any event, term, or phrase searchable. Hence, we can find all tweets on this topic. And I'm going to dive really deep into it when I do Hashtag 101 theory. But what it is you start off the search results with a hashtag, meaning this. If you went onto Google and you searched Sergio Garcia, anything that mentions Sergio Garcia would pop up. Any websites that mention Sergio Garcia would pop up. In Twitter, the hashtag is functioning as a search topic. So anytime somebody puts hashtag Sergio Garcia in it, anybody that's used that hashtag can talk about, anybody that's used that hashtag in their tweet is now searchable with people that search for the hashtag Sergio Garcia. So because I put that in there, anybody in the world is seeing my tweet. And I got 1 like off of that tweet, and it was actually from somebody I don't even know. They were searching Sergio Garcia, they saw my tweet, they liked it, right? Hashtag the Masters. The golf competition was Masters, the Masters Championship. So I put hashtag Masters. That was a trending hashtag that was going on. And again, talk about that in depth later on. But I just want you to know what those hashtags are, because they boost your engagement on your social media. It's kind of like you go to a party and you start talking to people. Well, if you just talk to a wall, people will hear you, but they're not listening to you, right? Hashtags get people to listen to you. They categorize it down. So any event, term, phrase, it becomes searchable, right? And so that's a little bit about retweets and quoted retweets and mentions and hashtags. And so if you like this video, if you want to hear more about social media and personal finance, I'll be doing videos on a bunch of other stuff as well. Social media, personal finance, intro to business. Comment, subscribe, like to the page, share the videos out there. If you want to join one of my classes, right? I teach some classes online, but if you want to go on and if you're in the Long Beach area and take some of the class at Long Beach City College, go to my website, nickcarbonaro.com. I link it right there. I make it super easy for potential students out there. If you want more information about me, go to Nick Carbonaro. My contact information is all there. So that is part 2 of 5. We still got 3 more videos to go on Twitter 101. And so with that, I will see you. And again, since this is Twitter, tweet me if you need me. All right? Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video in part 3.